Hi there, this is Dr. Embody with Project 5. Starting with Project 5, we're going to be getting into a pattern that will be for most of the remaining projects, which is we'll have some data, and it'll be in a file. We'll read in the file of data, we'll do some processing of it, and then we'll display it to the screen, maybe write it to a file, maybe do a graph, some kind of display of information. So we get that pattern based upon files, a lot like what we got in Lab 5. So let's take a look at this project. So in Project 5, I grabbed some data on measles. It's been in the news. There's a lot of fear of vaccinations. Measles is very serious, estimating causing over $100,000 deaths worldwide. So this is pretty serious stuff. And so what we have here is some data from the Center for Disease Control about the vaccination rates by state and for the whole population. And then you get this little thing of herd immunity. That is that no vaccination is perfect, and but if you get enough people for whom the vaccine has taken hold, then it won't spread. And that's really what this is all about. And all right, so let's take a look at this. So we give you this file, mmr.txt. Okay, that's the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccination. And out of it, there are there are state and percentage, and there are a couple of other things about it. There is a title line that we want to ignore and a header line. Okay, and so we tell you everything that you need to know about it right there. So we're going to write a program, and in these programs, we're going to have this open file function. And one of the things that's important about it is that it uses try except. And what this function does is it repeatedly asks for a file name until it gets something it can open. All right. And it will, so you say, give me a file name, and if you give it one that opens it, it returns it. Otherwise, it will say, oh, there's an error, and it will keep going around and around like that until it opens it. All right, so, and then we have a series of functions. One is to get the value for the whole United States out of a function, get the minimum value, get the maximum value, display information about the herd immunity, and then write that herd immunity information into a file. So we get this displaying and writing, and again, that's like what you did in Lab 5. Same information, just write it into a file. And then there'll be a main function. Again, this will, we are giving you, if I go back and look at it, we give you a starter file. Okay, so it has these magic lines down there that if you run the program starting with the program, then the main will be run. Otherwise, if we import it into our tests, it won't be run. We also give you the strings, and again, that's to just make the it a little easier to get the output. And there's the file of data. Now, what we do is we tell you that there are, I think it's 25 characters wide for the name, and then whatever we said for the value. And notice that there are some things in there with NAs, and there's also information in there like from the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, for which we don't have data, and there are instructions in the project on how do you handle those particular pieces of data, right? One thing that we do in this project, and it's really only in this project, so you don't want to use this in others, is that we keep we have to go back and keep reading the file. Later on, we'll learn some data structures so that the idea will be you'll just read the file once, dump it all into a data structure, and then work with that data structure. We aren't there yet. So at the beginning of every function, we have to take the file, and there's this old hardware term called seek, but we seek to the beginning of the file, indicated by 0 byte information at 0. So and then you use the read line. Notice that's singular, not lines. Don't ever use the read lines. So we use the read line that reads a line of file, and gives us a way to skip the title and header lines. But when we're looking for minimum maximum values of states, there it is. We tell you ignore if it has an NA, and then when on these, when we're looking at the min and the max functions, they take the file. We'll seek to start reading again at the beginning, and we're going to return the minimum value and the state that's with that value. And then we'll do the same thing with the max, again returning a string and a float, and then we'll display all that information, and we give you some strings and some formatting to go along with that, and then we'll do the same thing and write it into a file that we specify will be herd.txt. Okay. All right, so how do you start this? Well, what I like to do, and I do this with everyone that's got a, I don't start out with the functions. We could, but I want to make sure that I've got everything set up right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open this file for reading. And if I do that, and I will save it, and if I run that, and what I've done is I should back up a little bit, so I am opening this file. I have to have downloaded that file and saved it into the same folder where my program is. That's very important. All right. And so we can see that there's the title, and then there's a header, and then we get all of our state information in there. All right. So one of the things that we want to do is I want to skip those. I want to skip there's the header line, and there's the there's the title, and then the headings, and we can skip them with, again, singular fp.readline. All right, that would be, oops, typo. And so the first one took care of the title. And because I'm not doing anything with it, I don't need an equal sign on the left, but I could if I wanted to. I could say title equals, and I could say header equals, and that's fine. And now when I run this, we see we start off with Alabama, that being the first state in the list after the heading. So okay, so that's doing what I wanted to do, and then what I'd like to do is, rather than printing the line, if you look in our information here, we see that state is the leftmost 25 characters, and then the percentage is the next 4 characters. Right? So that means that I can say in each of these lines, the state is the first 25 characters, and the in this case, so there's a number of things I could do. I could say, oh well, this is the rest of the line. I can do that. Alternatively, I could say, oh well, this is from 25 to 29, right? Right, because this specified that was 4 characters long. Right, and there's advantages and disadvantages to doing each of these. Let's see how I did. Print out the state percentage. Here I'm just trying to get a sense of, all right, that looks like I've successfully grabbed the information. And one of the things that we want is to have the information for when it's the United States. So if state equals United States, then we'll print it. Ooh, nothing happened. What's going on? Well, if I were to, say, oh well, what's going on here? You could see right here, there's United States and the value. What's going on? Well, there's a number of ways I can find this out. Let's print out the state. And let's print the percentage. All right, that doesn't look very nice. So why am I not picking up United States? Well, there's a couple of things I could do. Let's just throw something on here at the end. Just some dummy characters there, and we run that. And notice, United States goes all the way out to here. Aha. All right. I'm checking for United States with nothing on the end. So what does that mean? I forgot to strip off I'm assuming that those characters aren't there. And so now when I, oops, wrong word. There we go, strip. That looks a little bit better. Ah, there we go. Now I finally printed out the United States values. So let's hide these guys. And when I run it, there we go. We come down, we've got the state, we've got the percentage, and now I go ahead and that will print it. Now it might be, right now, let's take a look at this, and you can see that percentage is still a string, right? So okay, maybe I want to make this a float. All right, it blows up because I'm trying to take a float of an NA. All right, so then I have to go in there and take care of, remember we're supposed to ignore the lines that have NA in there. So you can see how I'm building this up. Now, what I did this just trying to keep it simple there. What I could do is take the starting code and I could take all this stuff that I just did there, and I could have done it all in main. Just put it all in there. Of course, because it's in a function, I have to indent it. I can save that. And now I could try to run it, and it goes, oops, there's nothing there, and that's because my file is not, my mmr.txt file is not in the same directory as this one. So I'd have to fix that up, but otherwise it would run exactly the same. So I could have done exactly what I just did down here. I was just trying to do it without all this all these other functions in here to distract me. And by the way, this line will eventually be replaced with a call to the open file function. That guy, once it gets written. And again, you need to have try except in there and so on in order to get full credit with that. So hopefully this gives you an idea of something to get you started with. Good luck.